G'day, welcome to Country Music World. I'm Mick.
And I'm Jay.
On today's episode of CMW, we're heading straight down to Sydney and we're going to talk to one of the coolest, deepest voices in Australian country music.
Mate, he's got a big voice but it's a great sounding voice. He sounds like a big bowl of melted chocolate, mate.
He sure does. He's been travelling for years now with the Australian Johnny Cash show, and he's just come back from a very successful Hits of the 70s country show.
And he's also going to be hitting the road next year in February with the Cash show again, as well as working on some of his new music. Make
sure you subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and sit back and let's get to know a little bit more about Dan Thompson.
I see them real well. I miss those arms that held me when all the love was there.
Yeah, so we're going to cut across to Dan, who'll be probably leaning back somewhere in his house here. Have we got you online, Dan?
Yeah, mate, I'm here.
Hello, mate. Welcome to Country Music World.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, boys.
No worries. Hey, Dan, you've been at this a long time, mate. So what got you into country music in the first place, man?
Oh, look, my mum and dad were both musos, growing up. So I grew up listening to all sorts of music, and country music was part of that. I didn't know it was country music back then, it was just music. So, the Beatles and the Stones and Merle Haggard, it was they were all the same to me. So, when I grew up a bit and sort of started dividing music into genres myself, I realised there was a lot of country music growing up, So I grew up in Sydney. So it was just something I'd always listened to around the house.
Yeah, nice. Have you got any picks? Is there any one particular one that you always dive to straight away?
Oh, well, I mean the Haggard stuff especially. But that was sort of later on, I mean it was that was where I really learnt how to sing, listening to Merle Haggard, and what country music was all about. There's Jerry Reed. I love my Jerry Reed.
Oh yeah.
There's a heap of stuff. There's just so much, really.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
So you've been talking about all these old guys, man. You've been touring pretty hardcore now for years, as it turns out. Years doing the Cash thing, and that thing is a phenomenal show. Like, it's just hats off to you for what you've done there with that show, man. And now you're doing the greats of 70s country music, which you've just finished that tour, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we wrapped up last week. So we did 3 months on the road, a lap of the country. We did, Tassie, South Australia, and WA, and up into we came up to Bundaberg, so not quite as far north as you blokes, but yeah, it's a great way to see the country, and sing great songs. That's the thing. Those 70s country songs are a little bit different to the Johnny Cash stuff, the Glenn Campbell and John Denver, but man, it's good music. It's good fun.
Dan, you went round. How many years have you been doing the Cash thing?
Well, we started. The first show that we did was 2009.
Wow.
So that's 7 years, I suppose. But the touring started in 2012. So we're about to start our 5th national tour. Yeah.
Do you find, you've just gone around with a new show and you had a lot of success with the Cash thing prior. Are you finding that when you're going around the place now, is it the same people coming to watch you on the second show, or is there new people turning up?
Somewhat, yeah. Look, there's it's funny, I mean, it's one of those things. People sort of divide Johnny Cash away from country music, So
yeah.
Your hardcore country fans sort of came to the 70s show, but and some of the Cash fans sort of came across from that, and we got a lot of comments about how it was nice to see a big variety of music and singing some different songs, I suppose. But yeah, it's interesting the way people sort of separate Johnny Cash from country music. It's as far as I'm concerned, he's as country as it gets. But so the answer is yes and no to that question. You get different people, and you get the same people.
You would know, as being a gig and muso, outside the touring things, just doing your clubs and your pubs, nearly everyone has to do to survive.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Johnny Cash is separate from country. I mean, I've played country gigs my entire life, and I have non-country music fans come up to me every gig and ask me to play Johnny Cash songs. Yeah. And I'm with you. I think Johnny Cash is as country as I've ever heard anyone in my life. There is no rock and roll in Johnny Cash for me. I only hear country, and when I hear Luther playing the guitar, I've never understood that either. And I'm glad you made mention of that, because it's,
It's funny, like we've done gigs. I remember playing at the basement in Sydney years ago, like one of the really early gigs we did, and we came out, and the first people I spoke to after the show was like they're in their sort of mid-20s, wearing all black and tats and all that sort of stuff. And I said, hey, thanks for coming to the show. And the first thing they said was, oh, we normally go to death metal shows, but we love our Johnny Cash.
It's
crazy. I just sort of, it really sort of opens up your eyes to what people, the way people work. That's just the subject matter of Johnny Cash, I think, gets people.
Yeah, he definitely crosses the genres somewhat. He definitely crosses genres a lot.
Oh yeah, most certainly. Yeah, it's interesting the way people's minds work. I think it's sort of a bit of an eye opener for me, certainly.
Well, so Dan, you've been doing the Cash show for quite a few years now.
Yep.
How's the show evolved over time? Has it changed much?
Oh look, I think it's gotten better. I think it's just us being comfortable on stage together, and knowing each other. Like, I get to walk on a stage with Stewie French, so it's that's a joy, and it's and yeah, I think the show, what we've done with the show over the years, the focus has changed sort of each year on what we're sort of paying tribute to in particular, and we try and give people something different every time around as well. So it's not the same show. Of course, there's the hits that people want to hear, but it's the stuff in the middle that makes it different every time around. So there's it's knowing the songs a lot better and all that sort of stuff. I mean, the show evolves. It evolves by itself just through knowing the show really well. So yeah.
How was playing the Opera House, mate?
Oh man, that was just what an awesome experience that was. It's like I've been to that building many times, seen some of my favourite artists there. I've been to see the orchestra, and the symphony orchestra play, and it's what a thing, walking into that building with a guitar in your hand, knowing you're headlining a show there is just man, what an honour. It was fantastic. It was great. We had a great night. It was that was probably the best the band's ever played. I really felt great about that gig. Just everybody lifted because it's just such a prestigious venue.
Yeah. I remember reading a post the afternoon. Actually, you were playing it. You went down on the harbour walk there, and you kind of did that whole selfie photo with the Opera House in behind. And you said, in only a few hours, I'm going to be playing in here. And I remember just reading it, seeing your photo, and seeing this glimmer in your eye of a happiness and an excitement of you look like a little kid about to see. I don't know what it was, but it was I remember distinctly looking at it, going, man, that's a happy guy right there, and that's a proud man. And I really love that. That was a good moment.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's like that part of. I'm a Sydney boy, So like I said, I grew up in the city, and that standing on the forecourt of the Opera House is one of my favourite places in the world, to stand there looking at the bridge with the Opera House behind you, and you just, man, it can't get any better than that. So the chance to actually play in that venue is what a world famous building is just quite a thing, and singing great songs too.
Yeah. So Dan, you've done the 70s, Grace of 70s Country, Cash show. What else are you working on, mate? Got any new music coming up?
Well, yeah, it's been a long time since I've had an album of original material out. It was 2004. So I'm sort of collecting songs at the moment, writing some things, and with an aim to get some original music out again very shortly. I've got it's been a long time to find what I wanted to do. Really, there's unquestionably going to be a Cash influence in there. That's just the way it is. That's what I do these days. But there's all sorts of other influences that throughout my life and all that sort of thing that I want to bring together in an album. So it's So I'm working on songs, and I'm going to be recording a duet with somebody very shortly as well, which I'm really looking forward to, and some stuff. So I've got some things coming up, and we've also got the next Cash tour on the road too. So
nice,
busy man.
Well, we're going to we'll connect with you at the end of this interview, of course, and make sure all the details of all these shows are going to be in our description, so people can find you where you're playing, all that sort of stuff. And as it updates, we'll keep everyone updated as well.
Yeah,
Mate,
sure.
you know, we talk about the Opera House as in it's such a cool pinnacle, and is that going to be one of your biggest career highlights, or have you got some others? What else is going on?
That's certainly, yeah. Look, it's unquestionably the highlight of my life. You know, the basement I mentioned before. You know, that was another venue in Sydney that was, you know, growing up, I used to go and see some great music there. You know, so it was the chance to get to play there was a huge thing. Look, I've played some excellent venues over my career. I mean, you know, Tamworth every year at the Country Music Festival, I get to sit in on a stage with some other great musicians every day, and play great music, you know, and people sit there and want to listen to it, and that's I mean, even that is a career highlight for me, you know. That's a little, but to me it feels like a bit of a reward at the end of every year, getting to go to Tamworth and sit there and play great music, you know. That's so, you know, there's different reasons for different highlights in the way that I think about things. Yeah.
I love the fact that you brought the musos into that. And not saying that it's other musicians or other artists don't think like that. I think a lot of them do, but it's generally not the foresight of their mind. But I'm really impressed that you've already mentioned Stewie, and you know, a lot of people know Stewie he's the greatest. You know, there's not too many better on the planet that are as good as Stewie French. You know, and you know, you're lucky you get to sing songs with that guy whenever you want to, and that's awesome. And I know with the Cash Show, Brad's playing drums. Yep. And you know, now Brad Bergen, for the people that are watching, he's a skillful guitar player, and I'm pretty sure he was doing the '70s guitar part for you, right?
Yeah, he played the lead. For the '70s show, you know. And it's funny. Brad is, you know, he's just such a great musician, you know. And I think every time you hear him, you know, you hear him play drums, and he's a great drummer, and then you hear him play guitar, and he's a great guitarist, and then he goes back to the drums, and he's better than he was last time you heard him, and then he goes back to the guitar, and he's better than last. And it's just like, he's a guy that just soaks up stuff, you know. What a fantastic guy, and he's a great muso. And yeah, look, I always say, you know, I mean, like walking on stage with Stewie, you know, like the people in the front row have great seats, but I got the best seat in the house because I get to stand right next to him and look at him do what he does. And a lot of the musos I play with, I feel the same. You know, Artie, our upright bass player in the Cash Show, it's just quite a thing standing there listening to him slap that bass, you know, and watching what he's doing and seeing how hard he works to do it too, you know. And so, and like the Tamworth thing, like I mentioned, you know, I get to sit and play and watch close up great musicians do what they do, and that is a joy of my life, I tell you what, you know. And so it's great fun singing great songs, but it's really great sitting with great musicians and watching them work hard and do what they do.
Dan, so you've done a lot in the time you've had your career. What words of wisdom would you have for somebody who's new and coming into the career, wanting to be an artist?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's so much you can say to people, you know. I mean, I think there's a few things like nobody owes you anything, you know. Yeah. You've got to work bloody hard to do this job, you know, and be respectful of people. You know, like there's people, you know, you see people coming through. I mean, there's people been in the industry for years that don't treat people well, you know. And it's just, you want to, you know, you don't stand up on a stage. If you make a mistake, don't turn around to the band and blame them, you know. It's like that sort of stuff. It's just work hard, be respectful to people, and don't behave like people owe you anything. You know, it's like that's the things. I mean, this is an industry full of people who will take advantage of you. That's just the way it is. You know, you got to keep your eyes open. You know, and but the bottom line is you can't allow yourself to sink down to the level of people who are trying to rip you off or take advantage of you. You know, you want to come out of it with a bit of credibility, and you know, I think the best thing that somebody can say about you is what a nice bloke you are, or something like that. Because you know, I mean, in this industry, we're very lucky in the country music industry. There are a lot of great people in it, you know. But that's because they're the people that work hard and don't feel like anybody owes them anything. They're the ones who rise above the rubbish and all of that. I think, you know, that's probably the best thing. Work hard is probably the biggest piece of advice I can give to somebody. You know,
it's pretty darn good advice too, and it is tough sometimes, a lot of people forget that they've got integrity. They've got to uphold their integrity, and it is easy because you're right. There is a lot of people around that'll take a stab at you for this and that and all this sort of stuff and try and manipulate, the system to suit themselves. And for a younger one, it's probably not as easy until they've been stung a few times too to realise, what bees are out biting them. But it's a tough one, isn't it? But the thing that I've learned, Dan, and I'm pretty sure, if there was a young artist here that wasn't sure, and I'm pretty certain all the people that I've known for a couple of decades, as long as Dan's been in this game, we've been in it for a while, that at any moment they could probably just walk straight up to you and ask you a simple question about what do you think, and you're going to answer them. You're not going to push them away, are you?
No, not at all. No, I think, and I've been lucky enough to be around this industry for a long time, and I do have been in the position where people come up and talk to me about what I think, and I think actually one of the other great pieces of advice I think is don't try and guess what people want to hear. Be true to yourself. Don't try and make an album because you think that that's what people want to hear. I think make good music, and make music that you want to make. I think that's another good piece of advice. I think you can't guess what people want to hear. But yeah, I think, if people, if anybody comes and talks to me about anything, I'm happy to have a chat, so it's an industry where, I think it serves better to help people rather than to try and stop people, because that only grows the industry at the end of the day. The more people that are involved and the more people that are good, the more people that come and watch, And
I love that.
Be around for everybody, I think.
Yeah, I love that a lot. Hey, Dan, where can we find you, mate? Where can, people want to go out and see the Cash show or the 70s show or the 80s show next year or the 90s show the year after? You could just...
It might be 80s and then back to 60s.
We'll go back to the 60s, we'll go back to the good stuff. So where can people keep an eye on you, mate, and see what's going on? And of course, when the new album comes out, where can they find all that stuff?
The Facebook page is Johnny Cash the Concert. That's probably the main place at the moment. We have a website, cashlive.com.au, and that's a place for it's the Cash show, the 70s show, and me, and a bit of Stewie as well. So cashlive.com.au is the website. Like I said, Facebook page, Johnny Cash the Concert.
Well, we're going to make sure those links are in the description below, mate, so everyone can get in contact. I really wish you the best with the new Cash show, and make sure that you're telling your people down there to send you all the way up the top end, because
absolutely. We're trying to get further north every year, mate. We'd love to come up to Townsville and put on a show up there. So one of these days we'll get up there.
Yeah, well,
we'll be there, mate.
We'll definitely be there, front row and centre.
All right.
I'll be sitting right in front of Stewie's amp.
That's right. Well, you and all the guitarists.
Absolutely.
They'll
have to fight me to get the front seat.
Hey, Dan. I stand close to him. I can't see how he does it, so good luck.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know. Look, mate, on behalf of Jay and myself and everyone here at Country Music World, we thank you so much for your time. And mate, honestly, you're a lovely guy, and you just. The cool thing I love about you, Dan, is that right there is exactly who Dan Thompson is, and I love it.
Yep.
Good. Thank you, mate.
Good on you for doing the Cash show, mate. Good on you for getting out and touring. And I love seeing it. I really like seeing when people just get up off their tail and actually have a crack at it. I really do.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
I really do love that, mate.
That's fun, having a good time playing great music for people. That's what it's all about,
Absolutely, man. Well, we're going to make sure everyone keeps in contact with you, Dan, and good luck with it, and we will catch you, if not before, we'll definitely catch you in Tamworth.
We will.
All right. Thanks, boys. We'll see you then. Good on you for doing what you're doing too, boys, bringing the music to the people. Good work.
Thanks,
no worries. Thanks, Dan, thanks for being part of it.
My pleasure. Thanks, mate.
Good on you, mate. See you later.
Bye, boys.
So there you go. There's a bit of a chat with Dan. He's a pretty cruisy bloke, isn't he?
Mate, he is. He's very laid back. Man, I just love his voice. Even when he's just speaking, he's got such a beautiful tone.
Yeah, he's a very, very talented guy. The Cash show is phenomenal. Like if you get a chance to go and see this show, you're going to see nothing even close to what Dan does in his band with Brad and with Stewie. They've got themselves going on this area now where it's phenomenal. It's a crazy good show.
Not only does he do the voice wonderfully, he's got some of the best musos in the country in his band.
Yeah, he sure does. So you definitely need to go and check out the Cash Show. It's going back out in February, which is really cool. So we look forward to that one. And he did say he's going nationwide. So
Yeah.
check your calendars and keep an eye with Dan, because he's going to be somewhere in your area, and you need to go and check this out.
Log on to his website and check it out.
All Dan's details are going to be below in the description. And Dan, on behalf of Jay and myself and everyone here at the Country Music World, we wish you the best in your future.
Check out Dan Thompson.
Do you love country music?
We love country music.
Country Music World are giving you and a friend the opportunity to go to the Denny Ute Muster for free.
All you have to do is subscribe to our channel, then head on over to Facebook via the link in the description below.
When you get to Facebook, you're going to have to like and share the post that's going around there at the moment.
And you could be on your way to see Keith Urban,
John Williamson,
Troy Casadale,
James Rain,
Shannon Knoll,
and heaps more.
all thanks to the Denny Ute Muster and
And Country Music World.